You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Psychologist exposes Trump's signs of sundowning in big new speech, based on an article by Thomas Keeker. Primetime for a lie. Trump went on primetime television and used the slot to revive his long-debunked voter fraud story, dangling recently uncovered documents that the reporting says produced no real proof. A forensic psychologist then turned the speech into a case study in decline, reading Trump's energy, word-finding, posture, and agitation as possible signs of neurological deterioration. That may be true, or partly true. It is not the political center of the story. The real holder of power, the decisive fact, is not Trump's slurred delivery. It is that a sitting president can still command a primetime platform to recycle an election fraud lie that has already been stripped of evidentiary value. That is institutional power in its purest form, the power to set the terms of attention, to force the public to react to his narrative, and to convert state-backed visibility into propaganda. The speech was not a confused aside. It was an attempt to relitigate reality from the top of the political order. The lie was the point. The article's evidence is plain enough. Trump claimed the documents would prove his 2020 loss was illegitimate. The reporting says they did not. That matters more than any bedside speculation about sundowning. Authoritarians do not need to sound coherent to be dangerous. They need enough command of institutions to keep repeating falsehoods until the falsehood itself becomes the event. The deception is not accidental noise around the speech. It is the speech. Diagnosis as distraction. There is a familiar meteor trap here. When Trump behaves abusively, fraudulently, or manipulatively, the coverage drifts toward his body and mind as though pathology is the main scandal. It is not. Even if the psychologist's observations are accurate, they do not excuse the content of the speech, and they do not explain why Trump still had the microphone. A faltering demagogue is still a demagogue if the machinery around him keeps amplifying the lie. Obsessing over his deterioration can become its own form of misdirection, shifting scrutiny from the act of propaganda to the performer's fragility. The enabling structure. The more important question is who made this possible. Trump chose the false narrative, but the broader political system still gave it oxygen. The article shows a president using a major public platform to push claims that have already been debunked, while the rest of the political ecosystem is left to fact-check after the damage is done. That is not a personal quirk. It is the operating logic of contemporary right-wing power. Manufacture grievance, invent fraud, flood the zone, and force everyone else to respond on your terrain. The lie does not need proof. It needs distribution. What this story really shows, the story is not primarily about cognitive decline. It is about a political order willing to tolerate openly false claims from a powerful man because those claims serve a larger project, preserving power by poisoning democratic legitimacy. Trump may be fading. The apparatus that still lets him weaponize primetime is not. That is the deeper failure. Democracy is not undermined only by the man at the microphone. It is undermined by the institutions that keep handing him the microphone after he has already used it to attack the public record. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to AlterNet for today's article, with the automated voice of LJ. Thanks for listening.